So now you're ready to start thinking about design. And your first project is a positive and negative space pendant. That means you're going to have both an interesting positive space, a shape that's interesting, and you're going to have some cutouts on that piece. So I'll show you a few designs that are pretty basic, pretty simple, and show you how to get started. So the first thing you want to think of is, what is the overall outside shape going to be? What is that design going to look like? It can be pretty simple, circles, ovals, or you can get more intricate. So I've just kept it simple here for the sake of showing you how to do this. Then you're going to have some areas that you have to cut out. So I'm going to choose this design right here, sort of cutting out the negative space that's not shaded. That'll be the cutout pieces, and the shaded space will be my metal. You also need to think about how you're going to hang this. So this is a pendant. It'll hang from either a keychain or from a necklace or something. You could, if you chose, you could also make a set of earrings, which then in that case you'd want to think a little smaller maybe, and you're making two. So you want to think about how it's going to hang. Is it going to be a piece that's part of the metal that just creates a loop, and then I can put a jump ring through here and string my rope through? Or are you going to be taking enough space of the metal where you can drill a hole and just simply put a piece of wire jump ring through here? The other choice is making a sort of bail. So it's like a tab here. So your piece will be here, and then this tab that starts out vertical will actually be bent over, sort of making an opening or a hole for the rope to come through. If you choose this, make sure that your tab is about 1/4 of an inch wide, so it's not too skinny and fragile and delicate, and it's about 1 inch long. Okay? So now what do we do? Now we're going to take the design that we've chosen, the exact version of the design. We've got it perfected, and it's beautiful, and it's exactly how we want it. We're going to trace that with tracing paper. You're going to get one piece of tracing paper, which you can see you don't need the whole thing for a little piece of jewelry. Save this in your drawer or in your folder, and you'll use it again and again. This might be all you need for the semester. So you'll get your tracing paper, trace over your design that you've chosen, either with pencil, and then overlay Sharpie on top, or go ahead and trace it with Sharpie. This needs to be in Sharpie because the pencil will rub and smudge and you won't get nice lines. So make sure that it's Sharpie marker, that you're using a permanent marker, and then we're ready to cut it out and put it on the metal. We don't have to be really careful about how we cut it out. Just cut out a rectangle around the piece that you have and save that tracing paper for later. And I've got my metal annealed and ready to go, and I've chosen just a scrap that I know this will fit onto. And you always want to go to the scrap boxes first. They're located by the window and they're labeled nickel, brass, and copper. Always look here first, because why not take a piece of junk and make it into something really cool? That's kind of the neatest part about this. If you can't find a scrap that's big enough, you can go to the cabinet and you can get a bigger piece. So we want to do what's called a dry mount to put this together. I'm going to take my rubber cement and I'm going to put a thin layer, so get all the extra off, a thin layer of rubber cement over my metal in the area that I'm going to use. Remember, my metal has been annealed. And I'm going to set this aside, and I'm going to put another thin, not gloppy layer, but a nice thin layer over my pattern, my template here. And then what I like to do is let these dry a little bit on the surface, so just sort of blow them dry. Wave them around. And then we're going to put these two together. So I kind of hover over it, and then I place it down, making sure. Now here's another thing. You don't want to have, if you have a large sheet, you don't want to put your template right in the middle. You want to go near an edge or near a side, because you have to cut out to that piece. So not only are you saving yourself time if you go right up on an edge, You're also saving the metal and not being wasteful. So be strategic about where you place this, especially if you have a nice straight cut and you have a straight edge that could line up perfectly there. Well, you just saved yourself a cut. So think about that when you put these two together, and you're just going to hover over, get close to the edge, and then place it down and press it on. Make sure you press it on really good. And then all this extra paper that's sort of hanging out over the edge can be bent behind and sort of torn off and out of your way. And then you are now ready to first pierce holes in the center where you're going to cut out your insides and then start cutting. So we cut the insides out first, and then we cut the piece out of the metal. Okay?